Hello my friends and happy Valentine's Day. I have had this vlog idea for a while and I didn't quite realize until this week that I don't fully even understand what the theme is. What I originally planned that I was doing was based on this book, Sky Daddy by Kate Folk, which was kindly sent to me by the publisher because I adore Out There. This is one of my favorite short story collections. Her debut novel comes out in April and I was like, how can I make a vlog out of this? What kind of concept can I come up with? Because I want to read it so bad and I want to tell you if you need to read it by the end. And I thought, okay, it's about a woman who is obsessed with planes. She is perhaps sexually aroused by planes and believes she needs to die in a plane for her, I don't know, life purpose to be fulfilled. So there, that's the concept. Reading books about people who are in love with inanimate objects. Then I heard about this book called Hard Copy. And I put it on my TBR for this video and I was like, this is the right thing. And then I realized that wasn't told to me to read because it's about somebody in love with a printer, but because the printer has a perspective. So I was like, okay, I will read books just about sentient object, like from the perspective of objects that have become sentient. But I don't actually know if are the planes sentient in here? So then I thought also I need to read Blob. Blob is a new book by Maggie Sue and it's about a woman who has a blob and she turns it into a sentient boyfriend. Then I started looking up other books about objects and I picked these up. This is about a door, but she's not in love with the door is in love with her. Then I picked up this, which doesn't have to do with people at all. They're just anthropomorphic food that fall in love. Then I have balloon animals and a snowman. And at this point, I'm realizing I don't know the theme. I thought the theme was objects having a perspective, sentient objects. Then I thought the theme was being in love with sentient objects, then turning objects into, do they all have to have the same sentience? Do they all have to come from the same place? Do I know what I'm doing at all now? No, I don't think I need to have a theme. The theme is love, I think. These ones are gonna be stupid and I'm just really in need of something stupid, I'll be honest. And then these ones I'm sure are gonna have a lot more to say than, you know, the like smutty 30-page finds that I just showed you. These are like actual novels that have more substance. Oh, and then also Gavin sent me this. It's called The Perfect Poo. Oh, it does a fiery fecal romance. Forgot about that. I think she is in love with her own poo or the act of pooping. Now, before you leave, it's gonna be fine. You came for the Sky Daddy. You're staying for the perfect poo. I need to just have a fun, silly time this week, and we're gonna do that together. I didn't know that I was starving till I tasted you. My only question with these types of books, because I've never read them, is do these objects have sex organs? Or is it about like their spirits being involved? Or is it going to be like my crumb? Like, is it a literal marshmallow and graham cracker and piece of chocolate? They're making up a s'more. But in order to be involved, do they also then need, because listen, they have eyes, they have mouths. Do they also have appendages? And am I supposed to know that by the end? This is called That's More Like It by Justine F. Oren. That sounds too much like a real name and not a pen name to be writing something like this. Oh, his name is Graham. The Graham character's name is Graham. I wonder what the other names are. What do you think the marshmallow's name is? Marshy? The chocolate's name Hershey? Do you think they would allow that? Oh, her name is Jella, like gelatin. And it looks like the chocolate doesn't get a perspective. Maybe he's just watching. Oh, Theo? Why is it Theo? Okay, Graham and Theo are married. He fills my nooks and crannies. Oh my gosh, it's taking place over Valentine's Day. I rubbed my edges against him. Who burned you is crazy. Her ex-boyfriend is a Cheeto. Oh my God, I'm not reading that. What? You know what? You know what? This is my kind of smut. This is my kind of smut. Oh my God, we just learned something about me. I don't have to read uncomfortable dirty talk because it's just puns. I don't have to read uncomfortable descriptions of genitals mashing together because they don't have any. He cried out in ecstasy, his chocolate drizzling over my sugary puff. This is a fun, stupid thing that I needed. Unfortunately, it was not written well. Hello, hello. Now that I've gotten a silly book out of the way, I can move on. Well, I have moved on to Sky Daddy. Here's how far into it I am. Robert is home from work today, so he's just here playing video games while I read my book. And I think I'm gonna run into town and get Booster Juice later. I have to run to the bookstore to grab a book. And Booster Juice has this thing going on in the month of February where every day, just like last year, they put out names. It's Alex and Carmen today. Okay, not me. I was hoping maybe I could get a free Booster Juice. If they pick your name, they put up 2 names a day. And if they pick you, then you get a free Booster Juice. It hasn't been me yet, but it was, Robert did get one. He got his free last year, so his name popped up. So I'm patiently waiting for mine. Sky Daddy is interesting. We have a woman named Linda, that's my mother's name, so I'm trying not to think about her while I'm reading this. And she has an obsession with planes. She has always wanted to like work at an airport, or she's worked at like a subway inside an airport. She just wants to spend all of her time around planes because she is in love with them. She finds them very attractive. And she had an experience with a plane when she was in her adolescence. They gave her this real connection she feels to planes. And she thinks that if a plane reciprocates, then it will go down while she is inside of it. And that will be the purpose of her life. Unfortunately, she's not the type of person who could easily get a job at an airport. Like, she's not very driven, not very ambitious. In fact, she gets so distracted by the planes also that she cannot do jobs effectively when she's around them. So she has this job doing moderation. I'm not sure if this is going to if this is just like a fun fact about her, or if it's going to come into play in some other way. She does content moderation, so she like watches the people at her job watch videos and look at photos and approve and disapprove like comments and things. And in the beginning section, she was just getting to know this new like kind of group of friends, and they were doing vision boards, and her vision board was just airplanes. And she was explaining to her friends, she had to find a reason because people would have thought it was weird that she was in love. So she's like somewhat self-aware. She was like, oh, I just like want to travel. Oh, I just maybe want to marry a pilot. So there's also a little bit of like dating because she's kind of forced into that by this group of friends. I'm just wondering why this book is so long. It's such a weird concept. I imagine that she came up with it when she was writing the short story collection. And then I was like, this one has the potential to be a full-length novel. But why do we need a full-length novel? Like, this is such a silly concept that I'm so curious what on earth is going to happen. There's 300 more pages for me to read. What on earth is going to go down? Is it going to stay wacky and ridiculous? Or is it going to be her like getting a life, kind of like finding a purpose and making a connection and getting really close with these friends, like finding a new job? Like, is that the journey we're on? Or is it just about the planes? At D8, I spotted N1008DQ through the window. A punctual fellow. He'd arrived from Vancouver a few minutes early. I blushed as I beheld his handsome face. My eyes locked with his windscreen, in which I detected a hint of recognition. I mouthed a greeting to him, then turned away shyly. My love life consisted of a string of one-night stands. Karina would disapprove were my date with a man rather than a plane. But no man could do for me what a plane could. What man could propel himself to a speed of 150 knots before lifting us to an altitude of 37,000 feet? What man could carry me across continents and seas, all while keeping me warm and oxygenated inside his aluminum torso? No man I'd ever chanced to meet. Superman. She doesn't need a plane. She needs a superhero.
She's in the wrong universe. She should be in like the DCU.
I'm halfway through Sky Daddy. I'm having a great time. When I said earlier, and I think I've been saying this more lately than ever, is like nothing's really happening and I wonder what's going to happen. Like, the book feels like a lot of pages for nothing to, like, me not being able to imagine what the plot actually is. I want us all to keep in mind, and by we I mean me, I don't care about plot. Like, I don't know why I'm saying these things. Maybe I think it's helpful for you to know that it's a slow book, because sometimes when I pick up a plotless book and then I sell it to people, they're like, nothing happened in this book. And I'm like, yeah, but I love that. So I think I'm just trying to like pitch it correctly. But I don't care if nothing happens. Like, I'm a low plot girl. Give me nothing. Give me existential crises for 300 pages and I'm cool. But there is something happening now, just so you know. There is definitely some sexual content, which I'm like sure you could imagine, but because she's just obsessed with planes, perhaps you don't imagine she will engage with human beings, but she does. And the planes are all a part of it. She's really getting off on the idea of planes. So that's what's happening. She has something going on with somebody. The writing style, maybe the character voice, is reminding me of Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily R. Austen. Maybe it's because it's like kind of a directionless protagonist, a little apathetic, but has an obsession with something, and that's where the focus of it goes. So it's just as silly, but also just as much of a character study as I expected. This is pretty much exactly the vibe that I was expecting, so that's good. Are these the names from last year or from this year? Like, are they teasing them ahead of time, or is this last year? If this is from last year, your name is on here somewhere. They didn't do it on the snack size one. Ezekiel, what's your name? Yeah, your name's not on here. That's a cute cup though. I have made it to the final 2 chapters. And I really like this book. I think it's a super solid 4. I'm having a good time. I like the writing. The character makes you feel like hope for her. Like, you want certain things for her, but you also get like secondhand embarrassment for the way that she is existing around people and choosing to share her hopes and dreams. And realistically, there's only one way that this book can end. And there's also only one way that I want the book to end. And those are not the same. So I'm just gonna lock into this last 30 pages and see how I feel. I don't think my rating will change regardless of how it ends. I'm ready to wrap up Linda's story. I guess there's 3 different ways the book could have ended. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that one. Like I said, it's a 4. Solid book. Would I recommend it? Ooh, I don't know, you guys. It's not as weird as I thought it would get, considering her short story collection. It's not as like beautiful, life-changing, watching somebody figure out what they want. There's a little bit of that with like multiple characters. Yeah, it's a hard one. This is a really hard sell because it's not for the weird girls necessarily, but it's not for the like literary fiction, women's fiction girls necessarily. Ooh, I don't know what more to say about it actually. The books that come to mind, not like plot-wise or character-wise, just like if you liked Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, like maybe that one, but more so Big Swiss, Luster, A Touch of Jen, the ones that have haters and lovers of them, the ones that toe the line, having like characters you don't necessarily love, but you are interested in just following the life that they've created. I liked it. I'm so glad I liked it because, oh my god, how disappointing if I read a short story, like my favorite short story collection from somebody, and then didn't love their debut. I will 100% be picking up more Kate Folk. I'm so glad I got an early copy and that I liked it. All is well. I have been hyping this up in my head for months, worried about how it was gonna go, and now I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. So before I read my next longer novel, I figured I should get into something short and stupid, and I only just realized these are written by the same author, Vera Valentine. This one's Squeak, this one's Unhinged. I think if I don't end up loving their writing style, I might not like read the other one. Oh, this one is Apartment 69. Which should I read? The thing about
Squeaky sounds hilarious.
okay, the thing about this is actually with both of these, it's not like this one where they remain the ingredients. It's about them shifting. It's a shifter. They're shifter romances. So he's a door, but he's really a man who's trapped, who like has a curse on him and has to be able to
That's kind of less cool, actually.
unbecome a door. And I think these are people who become balloon animals. I think I want to read this one. This is the one I've heard more about. And I just discovered this channel, Grapey Delcado. And she was talking about hard copy and actually made me not want to read it for this video. I think I'll read it in the future, but it really doesn't fit the vibe here. And she did this entire video that I'm going to link down below if you want to learn more about sentient object romances, because it was so fascinating. And there was something that she was talking about that I was going to talk about here, which is about like the rise of sentient object romance and it being a reflection of different things, and the way that art reflects society and how there are moments in time in history when things have been at their most chaotic or destructive, and how surrealist books, like as silly as these are, it's the way that surrealist art is like a political response or a response to political unrest. And it's something that's really interesting that she was talking about. And so, yeah, I'm gonna like that. And she mentioned this one, so I feel it imperative to read. How'd your reading go? Mine was an interesting time. I wouldn't say traumatized. I just like, I don't know. Did I think that this is going to be a great work of literature? No. Did I think it would be more fun than it was? A little bit. She does indeed have sex with a door, with the knob, and it's from the door's perspective. So after that, it's just kind of like better. I don't know. He turns into a man, and then he's not a door anymore. So why do I care? I wanted the door. I don't want to read erotica. I want to read door erotica, and then it suddenly wasn't about a door anymore. So forget it. I could be the love, be the love, be the love, be the love of your life. So the Sentient Door book was not for me. No one's really shocked. I'm not gonna rate the like erotic novellas. I'm gonna keep that off of my official Goodreads average rating for the year, and I hope that's okay with you. Obviously, I know what this is and like what it's supposed to be, and so my critique that it's like too insta-lovey and they get to like the point too quickly isn't valid, but I do wish there was a little bit more of a plot. And that's why I'm glad that these kind of exist, not that they are erotic novels, like they're more weird girl, like sad lit fic vibes, and they just happen to have this strange like obsession with something. But I do wish and I wonder if something existed like in between these two. It has more substance and like solid writing, and it takes a while to get somewhere, but then it does like get really weird in a sexual way because it's so stupid and fun. And this is a part of my digital footprint now. Yeah, reading this, talking about it. What am I doing here? I just wish it was like harder. Oh, it was more difficult for the door to have the woman like in love with him. I wish it just took a little bit longer. This one we will see. So far, it is really similar to Sky Daddy in that we have a similar main character who feels a little bit directionless, doesn't have a lot of support as far as friends or family, is kind of in a dead-end job, doesn't really know like what they're doing with their life, and then they have become obsessed with something. She has been obsessed the entire time. This one, she begins her obsession with this blob. She's walking out of work one day and there's this like blob like this on the ground, and she picks it up. She feels like it has some type of feelings or emotions or something, and the blob begins to get more human traits. And something also interesting these both have is the main character thinking that they have some type of influence on what's going on, and I'm not going to give away if that's true or which one it might be true for, but there's a certain what would the word be, like compulsion that they think they're controlling what's actually happening, like with their mind or with their words, that there's some type of magic going on, that they are influencing the world. And so the blob is becoming like the perfect boyfriend, and so she is spending time with it. It's like sitting on her couch and she puts on like the TV to watch certain shows. At first it's just because she feels a responsibility to this blob, and then it's because she realizes it is becoming more human-like. And so she thinks, if I sit him in front of this show and he watches like all of my favorite actors, he'll gain a personality, he'll get a sense of humor, like he'll be charming. I laughed out loud at one part that is completely unrelated to the blob. She has this relationship, friendship, or is trying to have one with a coworker, and it's not gonna sound funny, so I don't know why I'm telling you. But they both work at the front desk of this hotel, and somebody comes up looking for her coworker, and her coworker is hiding. And he goes, "I'd rather talk to Rachel directly." I grab a rubber band from the desk and put my hair in a high ponytail. "Look, I'm Rachel. I'm blonde and I love vodka cranberries. What do you need to tell me?" Rachel grabs my ankle, but the poodle boy appears convinced by my impersonation. I just wanted to tell her I had fun on Friday. It's still funny, like appears convinced by my, it's just funny the way that she, I don't know, moves about in the world or interprets things around her. So this is definitely on the weird side, but it also is, I feel like, more of a metaphor for just like wanting to find control, wanting, well, I guess it could be saying like a million things. Feeling a lack of love and support, and like grabbing the reins and making that happen for yourself. Stuff about loneliness. It's a coming of age story. But I do want it to get like weird, and I don't think, like, is she gonna get it on with this blob man? Or is it just gonna be more like sweet and wholesome and about him learning like how to exist in the world? Either way, I'm cool, but like, I want some weird stuff. It's already pretty weird, so let's like go all the way. Anyway, in my live show, I got recommended, I think, the perfect Chuck tingle to pick up. So that is on its way, and that'll be the last, oh, I still need to read the snowman one and then the Chuck tingle at the end. All right, blob. This is a 3. Is this a debut? It feels like a debut. Someone's first time grappling with the idea of not knowing what you want out of life. Developing a character who can represent what it feels like to find purpose for the first time. This, more so than finding a partner, felt like how some people feel about having children. Sometimes if you feel like your life doesn't really have purpose, or I don't know, you've never felt unconditional love, having a child kind of fills a void for you, whether that's a good or bad situation. And her creating this blob and feeling responsible for something was an important part of her personal growth, and that happens for a lot of people when they do have children. It's like, before I was responsible for somebody else, I didn't clean up after myself very well, I didn't take care of my health very well, you know, I was very selfish. And then having to take on this duty, or choosing to take it on, kind of changes your perspective on things. And that's a lot of what her personal growth was. She's not a super likable character at any point in the book. She's not like objectively a terrible person. She's just not the most like fun to read about, and that's a character that I do like to read about. It's pretty much a character study, and you see her like going through different things in life and deciding about her job and her family and friendships and relationships. It's definitely not as weird as one would hope for a book about a blob. This is like, if this is somebody's introduction to weird girl fiction, I definitely see it. The weird girls who are expecting this to go like really off the rails and get super ridiculous, that's not it. It reminds me a lot of Annie Bot. Like once you get into it and you know what the story is, it becomes the exact story you expect and is a very palatable version of that story. Gets across its messages well, but weirdly, though I haven't read anything exactly like this, feels like something that has been done before. I liked it, but didn't love it. So it's a 3. It will unfortunately not be living on these shelves, which is fine because I actually kind of hate the spine. I will keep it. I'll just tuck it back there somewhere because this is just all about representing my 4 and 5s. I just reorganized my shelves. Finally, they've been a mess for a while. Actually, I didn't do this shelf. The final one over here is still a bit chaotic. I need to move and I need to get a full bookcase, like one of the big ones instead of a half one for all of my nonfiction and anthologies because I keep reading more of them and I keep loving them and I just don't have the space for that genre or group of genres. So that's that for me today, and I'll talk to you next with something else. Hello. I figured today was the perfect day to read Frisky the Snowman because I don't know if you can see. I don't know where you can see. Look, there's snow everywhere. And I have this beautiful bowl of soup. If you're lucky enough to have a chopped leaf near you, you should appreciate it and get into it. I imagine it's like the comp for it's comparable to Panera in the States. That's what I imagine. A little hot. I have 45 minutes until Liam's hockey game, and I think that's just the right amount of time to read this. Do you want me to read it out loud? Winter rolled over my cabin in the woods like a lion overnight. Winter rolled over my cabin like a lion?
Like loud.
Oh.
Like it roared?
In half a day, a foot of snow had fallen, rising above my feet as I stand in the doorway.
It's a lot of snow.
Cool air whips at my legs beneath my knee-length skirt. Why are you wearing a skirt in the winter?
Dumb bitch.
Do you think she's gonna build the snowman or she's gonna come across someone else's snowman?
She'll come across someone else's snowman.
My gloved hands reach down and gather a ball of snow. Oh, she's making it. Packing it together before I set it down and start rolling it. The ball grows in front of me as I push it around the yard. My thighs begin to itch from the cold. I know exactly that feeling. Do you know that feeling?
No, I don't wear skirts.
No.
Often.
But an excited warmth keeps me going. I've waited for this first real snowfall for weeks, and no amount of cold will stop me from what I've planned. I rub the snowball's large curves and twist with anticipation. A soft sigh escapes me. Nothing is as perfectly wonderful as a round ball of pure white.
This is the most sexual way to talk about a snowman.
I mean, it's an erotic snowman's novelette. I'll start reading out loud when it gets sexy.
Okay.
Most people find building a snowman fun, but I find it erotic. I'm crafting the perfect man. My big white snowman with a nice sized carrot. I dub thee Frisky the Snowman. We're getting right to it.
It's page 3, baby.
She's stroking him and kissing him. Isn't he supposed to turn into a man first? Do you like how my feel frisky? Do you want me to you? Do you want me to ride your long, hard orange?
Jesus. So do you think she pitched it like a 45 so she could actually jump on it?
It's been nearly a year since I felt this good. I myself with carrots the other 9 months out of the year, but it's not the same. Oh, so this isn't new for her. This is what she does in the winter.
That's why she's excited about the first snowfall, because she can make something besides just a carrot.
Hopefully she has like a good amount of acreage and her neighbors can't see what's happening. This is the snowman's perspective. I'm immovable, but not emotionless. I think and feel. My first memory is that of a woman's tongue along my mouth, then the warmth of her against my hand. What made Frosty come to life?
Magic hat.
Okay. She grips me as she rides me, me until my pops off.
Damn.
Good girl, Snow Princess. No. Oh, she's gonna give him a hat! I just lost my spot. Forgot to give you a hat, she whispers. She eases a beanie from her coat pocket and plops it onto my head. And now he's a man. Oh, so now he's gonna like go inside the house. Like a man's just gonna show up in her living room. That's so scary. So he's a human man now, but he still has a carrot.
Awkward.
So like I liked the movie better because at least it gave him like, he had to learn how to become human. Like he wasn't just a human and a man. And like this snowman is just like taking charge, and he's just like, he broke into her house and he's like, you and me, we're gonna get it on. And she's just down. But he also had to save her from somebody else who's attacking her. And that's something that has been the common theme in all three of these novellas so far, is the woman has to be saved by the sentient object or the anthropomorphic object. And there are other like bad people. And so he has to like be the hero of the story. I think I also like the ones where like there's a reason behind it. It's like there was a person and then he got trapped as a snowman and now he has to be like released. And this is just like how, like, give me some lore, a little bit of like an explanation behind the magic. I want a little bit of that. Also, the stakes are so low. So he's just a man now. Like he has to keep his hat on and he'll always be a man. He's not like melting. This one was not for me, and also I think I'm tapped out for erotic novellas. I think I'm good now. I've understood what they are. That one, no plot. At least the door one, there was like other things going on to follow. This one was just like, it is time to wrap up the vlog. I have 2 more things because I forgot I was supposed to read The Perfect Poo. I forgot. I've been forgetting the entire week. And then I have this Chuck Tingler, the living object tinglers. So basically, Chuck Tingle releases a whole bunch of sentient object romances, ebooks. Sometimes they're, 10 pages long. And then once there's, 3 to 5 of them that he's released at a time, there will be a published bind up that you can purchase. So this is the one that I was interested in is Glazed by the Gay Living Donuts, naturally. But this one also comes with Turned Gay by the Living Alpha Diner and Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt, which is like the original Pounded in My Butt story. And there's a whole bunch of ones in the Pounded by My Own Butt universe. Now, I was interested in the donut one because it just seems like, food is like a fun concept. But the fact that one of them is like a whole building is confusing, confounding, and intriguing to me. I just finished listening to a podcast that Chuck Tingle was on, and the host is a social psychologist. So it was a really interesting conversation about the rise of sentient object romance, like why people are into it, what people are getting from it. And I thought it was a really interesting conversation, so I will link that down below. I definitely have some things that come to mind for books that I have read that have the perspective of objects. Naturally, I think there's a lot of like, animals that have perspectives. That's not something that I'm interested in. And we have a lot of AI, like computers or robots that gain sentience. That's not what I wanted to focus on in this video, but I've read plenty of those. And then as far as objects having perspectives, there's a section of Mrs. Death that's from the perspective of a desk. Obviously, Death narrating the book is in its own right like a sentient object kind of thing, but there is a perspective from a desk, which is super interesting. Monstrulio is a piece of a lung from somebody who has died, and that grows sentience. So that's also an example. And then Sword Heart is about a sentient sword. So those are things that I've really enjoyed and would recommend to their right audience. And then I've seen a whole bunch of things around, I'll pop some up on the screen, that also have the perspective of objects. So if that's something you're looking for, maybe some people in the comments would also have some ideas for you. One that was mentioned to me is In Life Ceremony by Saka Murata, from the perspective of a curtain. And I just read that and I thought it was fine. So I don't really have much to say about that one. And I was definitely more interested in this video in like the love stories between humans and objects. So we're gonna wrap it up with these two. I imagine this is just for the shock factor. I don't believe, and maybe I'm just judging it too harshly before reading it, I don't believe this is going to have anything to say. I don't think there's like a grander message to this or intent. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's just to exist and be ridiculous. Meanwhile, Chuck Tingle's books are a lot of like, well, it's about like queerness and feeling represented, and there's a lot of political ideology or like pushback and like little tiny references in his stories apparently. And the way that he publishes things so quickly, a lot of his stories, he was saying, are about something going on in the world, and they're like commentary on things people are currently talking about, which is why like he's constantly coming out with these really short things, and if he just has a thought, he puts it into a book. But let's start with a book about shit. Oh, this author has also written Kissing the Coronavirus. I have heard of that one. Stella clung to the toilet seat like she was a mountain climber, and the seat was beyond vertical ascent to the peak of K2. Her face was red like it had been the time she thought she'd run over a dog with her car. It was fine, it was just a child. Oh God. And her knuckles were white, whiter than they'd been when she went to Alton Towers with her friend Rachel Rapuli, and her bra fell off while she was riding the teacups. Stella groaned and grunted. She sounded like an animal in pain or dying or having intercourse. Snorts and grunts and chirps. Thank God she had her bathroom window open, because the last time things got this bad in the bathroom, Mrs. Nobleham from next door listened in. People are discriminating against her because she's in love with her poo, and she takes it everywhere with her. She's pushing it around in a stroller, taking it to the movies. What? No, I'm gonna need you to be more specific. What do you mean they made love? Stella and her poo had a romantic evening. They ordered pizza, they played charades, they watched a DVD, they sang and danced and told jokes until the sun went down, then they made love. What do you mean? What do you mean? It was soft and sweet? No, because what do you mean? No! Okay, maybe this book is saying something more grand about love and loss, the fleeting feeling of love. I mean, she fell in love with her poop, and it didn't smell, and it wasn't gross. To her it was beautiful, and maybe it's about not judging things and giving things a chance, not judging books by their cover. And then over time her poop gets hard and white and crusty, and she can no longer love it the same way, and so she eventually flushes it and says goodbye to her true love, and then she feels a rumbling, and sees a future with her next shit. So what is my takeaway? I wish I was the person that I was 10 minutes ago before I had read this. Gavin sent it to me months ago because he very kindly sent me a book that I could not get here, and he slipped this in as a cheeky little surprise. And it was okay. Anyway, surely this will be just as strange, but less disgusting. 30 for 35. Okay, so the first story, Turned Gay by the Living Alpha Diner, was like a man. Like it had the body parts of a man, and at times it was a little confusing. Like, was the man giant? But when they were interacting, it was clearly like an appropriate size to be interacting with. So that was a decision that I made. So in this world, glazed by the Gay Living Donuts, humans and donuts relationship is illegal. It's banned. It's not like they're just baked goods that people are having sexual relationships with. The donuts are living, of course, like they have sentience. I wasn't expecting that. They have appendages. They have things to offer to the people that they interact with. And yeah, we have a character who has to get involved in this like underground secret club to find the donuts because he's so enamored by the idea of getting with all of the donuts, and he is pleasing like 15 of them at a time. And in fact, he is like the record holder for pleasuring the most amount of donuts. And I think this one, definitely I can see the historical context, treatment of queer folks, the ways an entire community has fought for rights and found ways to express themselves and just fought to exist. And now I'm on to the last one, pounded in the butt by my own butt. So that one was about cloning, and our main character worked at a laboratory, and they were putting together different items like brains and animals and body parts to make sentient objects, and they created a flying butt. And then he takes his own butt out for dinner, and they have a beautiful relationship. And then at the end, the relationship ends, and they have to move on and live their own lives. And it's about finding love and losing love. And yeah, sure. I really think that was just the perfect way to end the video. What was this week of reading for me? I don't know. I'm really glad I explored all of it. And I've now run out of books to talk to you about. I've also run out of like cute Valentine's-y outfits, though one could argue Jaws is a romance, a queer romance. Jaws is a queer romance, and I stand by that. All of those men on that tiny little boat, they had something going on. And as for me and this journey, the ones that I would recommend the most, I think Chuck Tingle is fun. Get into Chuck Tingle. You know what? The s'mores one was just fine. I don't think you need to read any of these. I recommend Sky Daddy more than Blob, but neither were as weird as they could have been. But as far as traditionally published books, they're kind of exactly what you expect as far as lessons and learnings and journeys. So that is my Valentine's Day vlog. Hopefully you are having a great Valentine's Day and you're reading something that makes you feel love if you're into that kind of thing. And I'll see you later. Bye.